So today is Saturday, the 22nd of November, 2025, and this topic is kind of on a somber subject that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it has to do with assisted suicide. And recently in the news, there's a woman named Ruth Posner. And I always click on the story if the name Ruth is in the headline. So I clicked on the story, the headline, to see what the story was about. And it was about a woman named Ruth Posner who was a Holocaust survivor and her spouse who had gone to Switzerland to commit dual suicide because they decided that their quality of life was deteriorating and they didn't want to go on living like that. And of course, they made the decision. They made the joint decision to um, to suicide themselves, and it was done as assisted suicide. And can you imagine getting an email that someone you loved and maybe are related to, you getting an email that they have done this, and that's how they did it. Went to Switzerland, had it done, and then the email was sent out to everyone who knew them. Yeah, you can read the story, Ruth Posner, and like I said, she was a Holocaust survivor. They were in their 90s, so they had lived a long, good life. And they talk about the death of the child that they had together, but other than that tragedy that happened, that they shared, they had a wonderful life. So I guess they felt like they could decide when they wanted to die and they wanted to do it together. Then this week, just this week, this past week, I came across an article that said it read something like how the Kessler twins died. So I clicked on it. And again, 89-year-old twins who had grown up together. They always lived together. Neither one of them ever married. They were famous singers, dancers, showgirls. They had been on Ed Sullivan's show. I had never heard of them. But of course, when I went to YouTube and put in Kessler and Ed Sullivan, uh, a video came up of them. Also, they also died by assisted suicide. They were German, and so that happened this past week. They were 89 years old, and I had never heard of them until this week. So I think because they died by assisted suicide is why they were in the headline. But as you know, suicide is um, well, I should say assisted suicide. Back in the 80s, there was Jack Kevorkian who was jailed and went to jail for 8 years for assisting somebody in a suicide. And he was very controversial at the time. It just went on and on and on. I'm still not sure what the status is of assisted suicide in the U.S., but I know that it's something that is an option in Canada and, of course, Switzerland. And there are different ways, people can choose to commit, have assisted suicide. Let's put it that way. And of course, in the past, of course, lots of people have died by suicide. The singer Phyllis Hyman, and not only Phyllis Hyman, there was Donny Hathaway. And if you ever see that famous picture that was a photo of the month or photo of the week in Ebony magazine, Donny Hathaway is sitting there at a piano, and on the top of the piano is a book, and you could clearly see the title of the book, Suicide. Yes, that's true. So people don't want to talk about suicide, but a lot of people always feel like it's an option. And one thing to be said about suicide is the only time you get to choose how and when you die. Other than that, like my father used to always say, you don't know where death is.